Hi, we are back on the Big O Afterglow show, and right now it's the pre-show for Victorian versus Rose City. We've been talking this game up all day long. The number one team ranked in the WFTDA, that is Victorian, against the two-time defending champions Rose City. We have brought in my good friend and Derby savant, Smarty McFly, from arch rival, previously from the Chicago outfit, Windy City. So it's been around roller derby for quite a while. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a few things about this setup. Just so we're backing up here again. Rose City hasn't lost a game for 1 year and 1 week, and that last game that they lost was right here in the track behind us. But the last year's Big O, Victorian pulled that win out. And then, of course, at Champs, the game I wanted to ask you about, where Victorian was leading them almost the entire second half. And at the very end, Much came back and won that one in the very end for it. Just wanted to ask you about your recollections of that and what it was like.
I feel like Rose City always likes to keep us on the edge of our seats. I mean, I feel like they did that at championships at least the last couple of years, where they might have a kind of a slow start out of the gate, but then something takes over. They might run into a little bit of jammer penalty in the first half, but then they seem to pull it out. And especially the experience of like Lauren Much, and then last year was Scald Eagle, obviously a different Rose now. But definitely, opens the door and manages to pull it out in the second half. They're a strong team. You can't count them out.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. One thing we were talking about, Scald and Lauren Much as key elements. Of course, now Scald over to Denver, and coming to Rose City is some skater from New York, Bonnie Thunder.
I don't know that name.
But even though we don't know who Bonnie Thunders is,
right.
I mean, you've skipped a number of different teams, and I'm curious, as somebody who has been on a number of different teams at different levels, when you have a transfer come in, does it usually change the entire dynamic of the team a little bit, or not at all? Because I hear a lot of people will talk about, well, it's a team sport, and of course it is, but at the same time, how much can one skater of a level change a team?
Oh, I actually have a very excellent example of having a skater like Brick Tater transferring to St. Louis, who she's just an awesome organizer. So having her as our captain, she's led our team in a very excellent way. So I feel like, it is a team sport, but an individual skater, depending on what they are bringing, can bring something that really ups the level of a team. And obviously we know Bonnie Thunders will take a team and put it on her back and just propel to victory with against VRDL and Champs in 2015,
Oh, again, Victorian leading for almost the entire game at the very end.
Where they almost decide to lose to a foreign team, and then Gotham decides to win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that was actually I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was one of the last things I want to talk about here. Victorian at Champs has come down to the very last jam 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
What does that do to a team for the next year? We talk about which team wants it more? Yeah. But I can't imagine any team that would be more eager to finally break into the final day of Champs.
Definitely. To not have that third place finish. It's getting loud. People are getting excited.
Team Purple in the house.
Obviously, I think probably VRDL being ranked number one probably pushes them up to a higher level. I mean, and maybe gives them that oomph that's going to. We'll see if they'll take down Rose.
Yeah, I know that I'm eager to see this one, absolutely.
Just a perspective from the Portland area. Like you said, I don't know if one skater really changes the flavor of a team so much. Bonnie brings a really calming energy to the team. Obviously, she's got a world of experience, and they can trust her to do her job. Yeah. The team is a little less dorky now without the Boskovic sisters. But I do see the same flavor, the same cohesion as last year. After this game, we're going to talk to the captain, Alicia Nesbitt-Smith, and Hannah Jennings. And, this is the second year of Alicia being captain, and they're always innovating, of course, but there's a consistency and a core group that I'm seeing, pieces added in. But I feel like that the energy of the team has not been altered too much by these huge changes. So I totally agree that there's going to be tweaks here and there, but the heart and soul of the team is
the same. They're the wheels of justice.
They are.
Yeah, I was going to say I could see this game going either way, but instead of saying that, I'm going to ask you to predict the final of this game, Smarty.
Oh, like, do I have to actually?
Oh,
Like,
I'll
do a
be
spread?
nice to pick a winner up for us here.
It's hard because we haven't seen this new iterations of the team, but I'm gonna go VRDL. I'm playing them tomorrow, and that's going to be challenging. But I'm excited for the fact that they didn't have a ton of turnover, and I think that they've risen, and I think that maybe they're just going to continue to rise, and that's exciting for roller derby, especially internationally. That a team that started elsewhere, where derby started in the United States, they've stepped up.
Yeah, Australia definitely one of the major places where derby really took hold strongly. And we talked to some people on the mid show over in the atrium, and it seemed that the consensus was that VRDL might pull it out.
I would say like every 2 out of 3 people are predicting VRDL at least.
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, we can't count Rose City out. We never really can. But if anything, I'm hoping that this game's just going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, I have little doubt that this place is going to be hyped in about 9 minutes. Smarty, thank you very much for coming out and talking to us.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. So I think we're gonna throw it back up to announcer or possibly the commercial. We are 9 minutes from possibly, I don't want to oversell it, but possibly the best game derby you see this year. But
yeah, maybe.
But we'll wait and see with you.
Let's call it the championship preview.
Quite possibly.
Ooh,
All right,
like
so
that.
stay tuned for this exciting game. Immediately following the game, we're going to talk to Hannah Jennings and Alicia Nesbitt-Smith, the Wheels of Justice, and eventually we'll wrap it up and come to you at the end of the night.
All right, Derby fans and addicts, welcome. You are joining us for continuing coverage of the Big O 2017 live from glorious and cosmopolitan Eugene, Oregon. Thank you for joining us. I am Mike Chex, joined along with Layla Smackdown.
It's true. I'm here. I'm so happy to be here in beautiful, temperate Eugene, Oregon.
That is right. We have an amazing game lined up for you this evening. This is the headlining bout of Friday here on Track 1, pitting the number 1 team in the WFTDA, VRDL, against the two-time defending WFTDA champion, Wheels of Justice from Rose City. Real quick, we're going to get through the rosters. I will start with VRDL. Skating for VRDL tonight, number 0, Ivy Knivy, number 010, Giles, number 10, Biceptual, number 11, Power Pout, number 130, Dire Skates, number 14 is Christy Demons, wearing number 20, Lorraine Evans, 2806, Danny Darko, number 358, Yana Nuku, number 38, Bone Shaker, wearing number 54 is Lady Trample, 66 is Screw Barrymore, number 85, Bianca Sharetta, and the captain, number 307, Shayna Sarelson.
All right, and skating wearing white tonight, representing Rose City Rollers, Wheels of Justice, we have number 1, Frisky Biscuits, 127, Jessica Chestnut, number 23, Gal of Frey, number 26, Sarah Gaither, 260, Envy Adams, 28, Alicia Nisbet-Smith, 340, Bonnie Thunders, number 4, Jess Rivas, 401, Tarantula, 415, Hannah Jennings, 48, Brute, 523, Liquor and Split, number 65, Ms. Dr. Joseph L. Simonis, and number 77, Lauren Much. Lauren Much is actually headed right now to the jammer line to wear the star as we get this first jam of the evening underway. Lauren Much is going to be facing off against number 54, Lady Trample for Victorian.
Last year at Big O, a bout took place between these two teams. VRDL was victorious. Wheels of Justice cashed the revenge check at championships, though, besting them to move on to the championship bout.
They did win that game by only 3 points, though, so this will definitely be a contentious game as we get going. Lady Trample is in the lead, pushing out that wall of white.
Lauren Much in the back, Jess Rivas dropping the bridge between the two portions of the pack. VRDL picking up first lead jammer, that goes to Lady Trample.
Lady Trample does have plenty of time to work on scoring points as Lauren Much has not emerged on the initial pass just yet.
Lauren Much taking a huge hit from Screw Barrymore. She's trying to get through the pack. Nice move on the inside by Lady Trample. 5-point scoring pass VRDL.
Gallifrey did manage to catch a little piece of Lady Trample, but with that much momentum, you're going to have to force someone all the way out to have a major impact.
Gallifrey, great stop in the first apex. Forces the call off.
I would say that was a really valuable lesson learned very quickly. Gallifrey kind of was just testing the temperature against Lady Trample. How much pressure do I have to put on her to drive her out? Figured it out, forcing that jam call off. Really impressive education on the fly.
Figured out that the answer was lots of pressure. VRDL drawing first blood, 7-0 the score after Jam 1. Christy Demons taking to the track for VRDL.
Christy Demons was a huge impact in the final game of the championships last year, putting up 71% lead jammer status in that final game they played up against London.
Bonnie Thunder's jammer of record for Rose City. Christy Demons knocked to the inside, going to be forced to reset. Thunder's having to go alone. Envy Adams dropping the bridge between the two portions of the pack, now switching up to defense and knocking Demons to the inside.
Really, really smart playing by Christy Demons. Lots of patience exerted, making sure to not cut the track on that last approach.
Screw Barrymore driving Bonnie Thunders all the way to the infield, almost out the other side. Bonnie Thunders recovers, pack is in the entrance to turn 1. Tarantula out front working with Envy Adams, trying to hold Christy Demons in the pack.
Over 50 seconds off of the clock, and neither jammer has been able to emerge out of turn 1.
Direction of play on Jessica Chestnut. She will report to the penalty box for Rose City.
1-2 punch. Tarantula finishing that hit. It is going to be a forearm call up against Sarah Gaither, headed to the penalty box.
Not her lucky day being called for that forearm right there. Bonnie Thunder still having a hard time with VRDL's defense in the back. Christy Demons up front, absorbing some hits from Tarantula, who's going one-on at the front. Envy Adams again dropping the bridge.
Bone Shaker and Danny Darko just punishing Bonnie Thunders in the back of the pack, unable to make it out on the initial pass.
Not something we see terribly often. Bonnie Thunder's not able to complete an initial pass. VRDL rolls their lead now 12-0.
So the first jam, we saw the blocker setting up at the pivot line, kind of old school style. Second, in the back of the pack, kind of new school scrum. And now we are yo-yoing back to the pivot line.
Which is going to yo-yo back to the jam line. Jessica Rodriguez jamming for Rose City. You may know her as Liquor and Split. Gallifrey, nice one-on up front. Forearm penalty sends Gallifrey to the penalty box. Ivy Knive, your lead jammer.
Ivy Knive, lead jammer, and yet again, plenty of time with Liquor and Split still stuck on the outside of turn 1. Victorian with a massive blocker advantage.
Nice stop. That was Sarah Gaither on the stop through turn 1. Rodriguez clear on the initial pass, and Yana Nuku reporting to the penalty box.
That was some serious air. No points picked up by Liquor and Split, but definitely asserting the fact that she has plenty of energy for the rest of this game and weekend to come.
And can get plenty of air.
That's true.
12-0 the score right now. VRDL scoring in each of the first 3 jams.
All right. We have still VRDL with the slight block. No, we have a fair and balanced blocker setup on the track.
Gallifrey standing in the penalty box, having less than 10 seconds to serve for Rose City.
And luckily, Gallifrey doesn't have much track space to make up. Wow, Lady Trample just managing to shrug off a massive blow from Tarantula.
Lauren Much knocked to the inside. She is going to be forced to reset. Still working on the initial pass for Rose City, who has yet to pick up a lead jammer. Low block coming to number 85, Bianca Sharetta.
Lauren Much was just about to make her way around the outside of that pack, but Sharetta said and we'll have to serve 30 seconds for that infraction.
Lauren Much still working on the initial pass. Tarantula over to play offense, but the offense coming from in to out. Lauren Much working on the out right now.
Really fantastic, slow and tight wall work by the Rose City Rollers as Lauren Much does emerge on the initial pass.
Biceptual with some nice defense for VRDL during that jam. Another 5-point scoring pass racked up by VRDL as they move their point total now to 21. Rose City still looking for their first points.
Well, the weekend is young. We're kind of all just acclimating to the air and the floor, and it's the first big tournament of the season.
You are very right about that.
Everyone's got them excited, nervous jitters getting this jam going. We have Bonnie Thunders jamming for the Rose City Rollers going up against Christy Demons for Victorian.
Bonnie Thunders right now with the advantage, pushing the blocking contingency for VRDL forward. Yananuku resets, but it's Bonnie Thunders, first lead jammer for Rose City.
Really great adjustment to offense shown by the Victorian blocker line. Wasted no time in turning their direction to emerging their jammer from the pack.
Christy Demons did complete the initial pass, does not score, and wow.
And crash kaboom, Christy Demons up and shrugs it off.
She basically ran into DJ Agent Meow's tables that are right below the stage. Don't worry, all the mixing stuff is fine.
And he knows not to take it personally because he is everybody's favorite tournament DJ.
You are right about that. Lined up to jam, that is Brute for the Wheels of Justice.
Brute and her triumphant return to the Rose City travel team. Took a couple years off, but is back. But it is Giles out for lead jammer, VRDL.
Nice crash offense from Rose City all the way from the in to the out. Freeze Brute on the initial pass.
Really great screen there. And if you're going to pick anyone off, it's going to be Chestnuts. Yes, indeed, there is definitely a little bit of an argument going on as to how many points were scored. And yes, no points.
None for Rose City, 3 for VRDL. Scott
Okay.
Free, though, out arguing, wanted a skating out of bounds call.
It was just a light conversation. It was just a chit-chat. I wouldn't say arguing, disputing.
He was bringing it to the referee's attention. 24-3, VRDL leads. Ivy Conivy out to jam. Opposite Jessica Rodriguez.
It is Liquor and Split slowly trying to find an answer through that sturdy brick wall of blue.
Forearm penalty, Rivas to the penalty box for Rose City. Dr. Josie Simonis, offense on the outside of turn 1. Lead jammer goes to Liquor and Split.
That was an amazing hip pick pivot. Dr. Simonis just opened that hole wide open for Liquor and Split.
Danny Darko breaks out of the goat pen in the back. Rose City tried to keep one blocker, could not. Liquor and Split forced to the out, calls off the jam. 2 points picked up for Rose City.
Great little rush at the end by VRDL to focus on point preservation.
Late forearm penalty coming in. That is Lorraine Evans in the penalty box.
Superbuds, Rivas, and Serlson getting ready to be sprung from the penalty box.
Lady Trample jammer of record for VRDL, but it's Lauren Much through the pack. First lead jammer goes to Rose City.
Amazing cascading offense just put up by VRDL, wasting no time for Lady Trample to just get on out of that pack.
That was Biceptual on that offense. Lauren Much getting around Biceptual at the front of the pack, completes a 4-point scoring pass, calls off the jam. Rose City rolling their point total now to 10.
Nice little momentum shift happening over on the Rose City Rollers bench. Still both teams tied with 3-on-3 blockers.
And we have an official timeout down on the track. There seems to be some question as to who still needs to report to the penalty box.
So just a little reminder, if you were not here at the Big O last year when these two teams did match up, the final score had VRDL victorious at 150 points to Rose City's 130. Now, 12 points really doesn't sound like that much, but it was a very, to be honest, it was a rough game for Rose City. There was a lot of jammer penalty trouble early on in the game. Skull's Eagle was ejected at some point early on in that game, and Lauren Munch was injured during that game.
All right, so it looks like there might have been a delay of game penalty issued. I'm not exactly sure. Sarelson is now back in the penalty box for VRDL, and she is their captain, so it is possible that a delay of game penalty was issued. I'm just not certain at this point.
We'll check back. We'll figure it out.
Well, Shayna Sarelson now was given credit for a second penalty. And now Bianca Sharetta joins the penalty box. Power jam for Rose City. Bonnie Thunder's out and lead.
Power jam with blocker advantage. This is right where Rose City would want to be.
Thunders with a nice move. Christy Demons escapes the pack on the initial pass for VRDL.
And it is 2010 all over again with both packs racing away. Now dropped to a stop in the apex.
3 points picked up by Rose City. 0 points picked up by VRDL. And the pendulum, I think we can safely say, now has swung back to Rose City's side. VRDL opens up on a 24-0 run. Rose City has responded with an 18-0 run of their own.
I will have no nails left by the end of this game. And as I've said, we've only just begun.
That is true. Lauren Much back out to jam for Rose City opposite Lady Trample for VRDL. Lady Trample knocked to the inside, as was Lauren Much.
Emmy Adams doing a great job of playing hand grenade offense. Lauren Much is lead jammer and also in a power jam.
Forearm penalty sends Lady Trample to the penalty box.
A cavalcade of whistles signals Jessica Chestnut's out.
Failure to reform on Chestnut will send her to the penalty box. Lauren Much trying to push out the defense through turn 4. Lauren Much muscled to the inside, forced to reset at the tip of the second apex.
Great job by Sarah Gaither and Tarantula, really shutting down the ability to force the jammer back.
Lauren Much looked like she was trying to catch the VRDL blockers off guard. Did not happen. Lady Trample completes the initial, and Sarelson returns to the penalty box for VRDL.
Rose City Rollers blockers getting really overly enthusiastic in the dying moments of that jam. They ended up pretty much just playing offense on each other, kind of lost track of where the jammer was. It was probably just as well that that jam came to an end so everyone can sort of like regroup, stay focused.
On the strength of that jam, 5 more points for Rose City. They are now within 1 of VRDL. Liquor and Split out to jam opposite Ivy Knivey. Sarelson starting in the penalty box, as is Jessica Chestnut. Chestnut now released and back on the track.
Liquor and Split waiting for a little bit of offense coming from Jessica Chestnut.
Direction of play penalty up front. Who is that going against? Nobody is reported yet. Number 85, Bianca Sharetta to the penalty box.
Liquor and Split almost got through the inside of Bisexual, but Bisexual forced that hit out and forcing Liquor to go again.
Shayna Sarelson now out of the penalty box. Chestnut playing some offense for Liquor and Split. Front of the pack now shut down as Sarelson comes up to join the group. Chestnut now dropping the bridge. Liquor going alone at the front of the pack. Ivy Knivey on a track cut penalty. Power jam Rose City.
We did have a cap pass to Gallifrey. Gallifrey almost working the way around, but forcing it to go again just as that power jam was called.
Correct me if I'm mistaken here, but this is Gallifrey's first sanctioned bout with the Wheels of Justice, correct?
You are absolutely correct. She is no stranger to roller derby, though. Gallifrey heading to the penalty box.
Low block penalty.
These things happen. Gallifrey does have a skating history, coming up as a junior for Emerald City, and then going and skating with Oli under the USAR sanction.
Ivy Conivy taking a spill in the second straightaway, takes Rivas with her. What do we got now? We have another low block penalty. Who's that going against? Rodriguez reporting to the penalty box, and it's Rodriguez, who will be joined by Chestnut.
They are keeping that penalty box nice and toasty, working on some booty grooves in there.
Gallifrey into the pack, one to beat up front. Scoreless jam for Rose City, 5 picked up for VRDL. 29-23 your score on the board.
This is exciting.
It
I
is.
had no idea this would happen. Who knew? I just showed up. I was like, what's going on? Who are these teams?
Lady Trample right now leading scorer for VRDL with 12. Bonnie Thunders leading all scorers for Rose City with 11. Bonnie Thunders back out on the track opposite Power Pout, number 11 for VRDL.
Sarelson trying to break up that wall of Tarantula, and Sarah Gaither. Gaither shrugging it off.
Pack destruction penalty. Gaither on an out of play. Lead jammer goes to Power Pout.
Power Pout, a new member of the VRDL A-Team charter.
So many people reporting to the penalty box. Oh my gosh, Power Pout knocked to the outside. Bonnie Thunders jumps the apex. Jam called off. 4 points VRDL. 4 points Rose City. Holy cow.
I blinked and all I saw was the landing. She started clear on one side and ended up on the other. That was a whole lot of height and length.
Whistles on the track. I'm waiting for a hand signal as to why. All right, we're going to get things going again.
Just a whistle test.
Maybe that was in case everybody hadn't heard the jam was stopped because it was the 4 whistle blast. So
Just
maybe
to
it was
confirm.
just in case. Yeah. 33-27, your score on the board. VRDL up by 6. 13 minutes, 40 seconds left in the first half. And we're not getting back underway yet. Our head referee addressing the non-skating officials. We are awaiting somebody's arrival in the penalty box. We now have been upgraded once again to an official timeout.
Once we get back to the fun, Rose City will have the blocker advantage.
Unless there's still a penalty waiting to be called. Well, fans, this action tonight brought to you in part by Girls on Track. Girls on Track wants to keep girls in the game by supporting junior roller derby programs. Visit their table in the vendor area to learn how you can be part of the movement or online at girlsontrackfoundation.org.
All right, it looks like our ducks in a row. We're getting right back to it.
VRDL going to start down 2 blockers. Rose City down 1. Lauren Much, jammer of record, working against Screw Barrymore at the front of the pack. She is clear. Lead jammer goes to Rose City. Gallifrey with the exit hit on Lady Trample in the front straightaway.
Lauren Much's juking blows my mind because she commits so much just for a fake without compromising her body weight at all. It's unbelievable how quickly she can pitch it from one side to the next.
Gallifrey back to the penalty box for Rose City. Lauren Much working on another scoring pass, being held at bay by number 307, Shayna Sarelson. Jam called off. 3 more points for Rose City, and we have a lead change. Rose City overtaking 35-33.
We've got lots of purple pom-poms and flags being waved in the audience. It's a much easier drive for the Rose City fans than it is for the VRDL home fans.
Well, yeah, they can't drive.
We're still waiting on a Qantas sponsorship.
There we go.
Qantas, if you're listening, hey.
That is Giles wearing the star for VRDL. Knocked to the inside. Resets. No pass, no lead jammer.
Just barely. That was nerve-wracking.
Frisky Biscuits still working on the initial pass for Rose City. Giles into the pack, now on a scoring pass, met by Elisa Nesbitt-Smith. Clockwise block leveled against Tarantula. And Gallifrey again to the penalty box. Pack destruction or failure to reform. Frisky Biscuits being held at the front of the pack. 5-point scoring pass completed for Giles.
Frisky Biscuits in a breakdance off against Biceptual, calling off that jam. Not before another handful of points picked up for Giles.
Scott Free out to talk to our head referee. We'll see if this results in an official review. VRDL retaking the lead on the strength of that last jam. They now up 42-35. 11 minutes, 3 seconds left in the first half.
VRDL having the fortune of a significant blocker advantage.
Rose City starting with 2 in the box. That's Gallifrey and Tarantula, and a quick lead jammer goes to Christy Demons.
Danny Darko ensured that inside line was owned by Christy Demons.
Rose City getting torched on the lines, torched on the outside this time. Christy Demons, a quick 5-point scoring pass. Cavalry coming now. Tarantula back out on the track for Rose City. Gallifrey rejoining the fray as well. Thunders through the pack, clear on the initial.
Amazing switch to offense once again by Victorian. I think they wasted maybe a second before turning their attention back to their jammer.
Gallifrey now able to get off the track for Rose City. No, being sent out to pivot again. No, being sent out to jam. No, that's Lauren Much. I'm sorry.
I can see why you would be confused, though.
Well,
there's a similar build.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a kind of similar forward skating style. I mean, not obviously they're skating forward, but
right.
I mean, it's kind of like a lean forward, a projection forward.
That is Ivy Knive wearing the star for VRDL. Lauren Much, jammer of record for Rose City. And Ivy Knive through the pack with lead jammer.
Ivy Knive just managing to step around Hannah Jennings before being pinned to that inside.
Rose City blockers usually getting pinned to one side of the track. Effective offense from VRDL.
More effective defense coming from VRDL.
Back block now on Gallifrey. Will send her to the penalty box for Gallifrey. That is the 4th, if not 5th penalty.
Amazing control by Lauren Much. Just spinning around on the toe stop, narrowly avoiding that outside line.
Lauren Much clear on the initial pass. Ivy Knive being moved side to side in the backfield, moved to the infield, and now calls off the jam. 5 more points for VRDL. They extend their lead now to 19.
I want to give special props to Jess Rivas right then, because Jess Rivas saw that the jammer was trying to call the jam, saw the jammer looking at the ref, saw it all happening. Jess Rivas did not hit. She's like, the jam's still going on. I am a blocker. I like hitting people. I'm going to hit someone.
Jess
You
Rivas
see it
does
through.
like hitting people.
I mean, she's good at her job.
You are very right about that. This is Power Pout returning to the jam line for VRDL. Brute jamming for Rose City. Direction of play has been whistled, but nobody reporting to the box yet. 28:06, Danny Darko now reporting for VRDL. Sarah Gaither on the high block. She will head to the penalty box for Rose City. Power Pout completes a 5-point scoring pass.
Chestnut's doing double duty of attempting offense for the jammer and then quickly turn the attention to grabbing Power Pout just as she approached the back of the pack.
Star pass to Gallifrey. Gallifrey to the out. Big hit by Bone Shaker or Biceptual. Probably both of them.
It was Bone Shaker. It was reinforced by Biceptual, though.
That's unfortunate for Gallifrey.
I could feel that spinal adjustment from up here.
Sarah Chambers through the pack, clear on another scoring pass.
Really great job by Power Pout, though, skating right through that little kind of melee, being focused against the opposing jammer, but careful not to disrupt the really intense defense being exerted against her.
Number 11 is Power Pout or Sarah
Chambers.
Chambers, yes, thank you.
Again, one of only 2 new additions to the VRDL roster. So you're dealing with a team, whereas they might be kind of thinner in who they bring with them, there's a lot of solid experience all skating together.
And very few jammer penalties for VRDL. Very few penalties, period. As we see Jessica Chestnut reporting to the penalty box for Rose City.
And, that's something that was really on display in watching VRDL's growth from the beginning of last season to the end. They were always obviously top competitors and always like a big threat to everyone. But their penalty circumstances from the beginning of the season, even from the beginning of the playoffs and the games that they participated in, whatever happened between playoffs and champs was really significant, whether it was just super disciplined when they went back to training or like studying so hard the footage and kind of really seeing what their bodies were doing. They really reined in the penalties, and you could see that on display today, at least especially from the jammers.
Well, yeah, and you can see it on the penalty board. Rose City right now with 2 skaters sitting on 5 penalties each. That's Jessica Chestnut and Gala Frey. By contrast, for VRDL, only one of their blockers has 4 penalties, and that is Shayna Sarelson. So penalties very high on Rose City's side of the board. So Rose City, after that team timeout, skating back out to the track, they find themselves down 73-39. Lady Trample lined up to jam for VRDL. Bonnie Thunder's wearing the star for Rose City.
I'm impressed with the diversity of jammer rotation coming from both teams.
That's fair. Quick lead jammer for Lady Trample. Back block penalty being assessed. That's going against White. 4:01, that is Tarantula on the back block penalty. Another 5-point scoring pass for Lady Trample.
Bonnie Thunders had almost found the answer around that outside behind Lori Evans. Lori Evans forcing that out and all the way back into the apex.
Alicia Nisbet-Smith on a back block penalty will report to the penalty box for Rose City. 5-point scoring pass for VRDL.
Penalty du jour?
Yes.
It's been a while since I've heard about that one.
Bonnie Thunder's working against the front of the pack, now clear on the initial, but Lady Trample clear on another 4-point scoring pass. And scot-free out to the center once again for Rose City.
That was one of the most subtle pirouettes I've seen around the inside apex. Like, nary a calorie of energy seemed to be exerted, and 4 points just gracefully grabbed up. That was subtle. And that's how you get away with having not the deepest bench in the league, but it's like energy retention.
VRDL going for the quick lead jammers. Christy Demons unable to convert this jam. That gives Lauren Much a chance. She is working against VRDL's defense, which is going all out, trying to slow her roll. Direction of play penalty goes against number 38, Bone Shaker. And Christy Demons through the pack first. Lead jammer VRDL.
Rose City Rollers trying to not get in the way of their jammer. Hannah Jenkins checking in and throwing some huge offense from Lauren Much.
Lauren Much forced to go alone, trapped at the top of the apex. Tries a spin move. Biceptual there waiting for her, though. Second leg of the bridge has been dropped. Bianca Sharetta really trying to force out Lauren Much. Meanwhile, Christy Demons working at the back of the pack. Multiplayer block assessed. That is going to go against Alicia Nisbet-Smith.
Hannah Jennings really had a very fortuitous eye, seeing that the offense was coming up to help the jammer and really kind of trying to neutralize that offense. And whereas Hannah Jennings then got neutralized on the inside of the apex, came out of it to then kind of get right back into the fray of brutalizing the jammer. So
VRDL 5 more points. Now the score 92-39. 3 minutes, 13 seconds left in the first half. Scott Free back out to the center once again for Rose City.
And it has been a hot min since Rose City has put any points up on the board.
They're going to hope the Bonnie Thunders can stem that tide right now. Ivy Conivy, jammer of record for VRDL. Both jammers initially pushed to the inside, now moving to the out. Ivy Conivy picking up lead jammer for VRDL. Thunders now clear the pack for Rose City.
Chestnuts is really getting a lot of negative attention, but because she's such a huge threat, I can see why VRDL would really want to focus on kind of corralling her away from everybody else to just try and keep her from doing any damage.
2-0 jam for VRDL. They continue to add to their point total, now up 55.
I know I'll regret saying this for fear of jinxing it. The penalty box is empty.
It has been a popular play, specifically late in this first half. Jessica Rodriguez, a.k.a. Liquor and Split, jamming for Rose City. Giles with the star for VRDL. Quick whistle, forearm penalty. Giles to the penalty box. Power jam opportunity for Rose City.
Great quick switch to offense by Jess Rivas. Unfortunately, then kind of got tangled in some skates. Liquor and Split out on the inside. Lead jammer.
Rose City really needing points on the board. So Liquor and Split going alone to start. The house comes on offense to follow. Big pile up, low block going to be whistled against number 85, Bianca Sharetta.
Liquor and Split once again going alone as the Rose City Rollers blocker is ready to receive.
Nice switch up to offense by the VRDL blockers once Liquor and Split had made it through the pack on the scoring pass.
Danny Darko, punisher of jammers.
Jess Rivas did draw the track cut penalty on Giles. Back-to-back power jams for Rose City.
Nice offense coming from Hannah Jennings.
Liquor and Split had enough of this jam, calls it down in turn 3. 3 points picked up for Rose City, adding to the 5 they picked up earlier in the jam, an 8-point effort, and they get a power start.
Lauren Much, top jammer for Rose City so far for the day, responsible for 17 of the points put up.
Giles standing in the penalty box, less than 10 seconds to serve for VRDL. Blockers up at the pivot line to start. Illegal procedure noted. Evans has to secede. Position does and stays in play. Quickly, jammer to Lauren Much in Rose City.
Alicia Nisbet wasted no time in throwing a lot of weight around the track and picking off a blocker. The RCR really had control right from the start.
Back block penalty going to be assessed. That is going against Bianca Sharetta. Lauren Much clear on a 5-point scoring pass for Rose City. Giles out of the penalty box and on the track, jamming for VRDL. Lauren Much goes airborne, knocked down early by Screw Barrymore. Giles forced to the inside, has to reset as well. Inverse offense coming from Chestnut for Rose City.
Sarah Gaither catching a little piece of Giles at that last second.
Coach telling Lauren Much to keep going. Giles into the pack. Lauren Much also into the pack. Last line of defense, Yana Nuku up front, forced out. Lauren Much, discretion being the better part of valor, will reset. Giles forced to reset as well. Both jammers had been knocked to the inside. Whistle coming from the outside, direction of play penalty. That is going to go against Jessica Chestnut. For Chestnut, that is her 6th penalty in the first half. Jam called off. 2 more points for Lauren Much. 11 points for Rose City in that jam. 4 for VRDL.
I am not counting Chestnuts out of anything because Chestnuts managed to ride having 5 penalties against her within the first 15 minutes of the game at championships last year against Texas, that really, really harrowing game that had happened. So still pulled it back and finished strong in that game.
Well, fans, we find ourselves at halftime. We're going to go to the break with VRDL leading 98-58. We'll be back in less than 15 minutes.
All right.
All righty, Derby fans, welcome back. We are live here from Track 1 in glorious and cosmopolitan Eugene, Oregon, site of the 2017 Big O Tournament, hosted by Emerald City, and what gracious hosts they have been.
They always put on a great spread.
Why I keep coming back here every year? Seriously, I love this tournament.
It really isn't just for the convenience, and you know that based on the draw of quality derby. You
right,
see.
VRDL had to drive a long way to get here.
Their arms are so tired. Oh, my goodness. But it's true. I mean, they put on such a great spread here. Really, like, the pinnacle of quality derby. You get to see the season from its infancy.
Right.
You get to see the new talent that's just kind of testing out the sea legs.
Right, new faces on new teams. You know, it's your first chance to see a lot of teams, a lot of women's teams, men's teams, and juniors teams in action for the first time this season.
The future and present of roller derby, and in my case, the sad, sad past. But anyway, back to the new talent. Some of the new talent on display just in this game, Power Pout for VRDL, putting up the second most points for the Jammers on that team. 23 points put up in that first half. Top scorer for VRDL is Lady Trample with 26 points. So that's really impressive. Top points scored by RCR in this first half. No great surprise, Lauren Much, 28 points. All put up by her so far.
To start the second half, Rose City will send Bonnie Thunders out to the jam line. Christy Demons wearing the star for VRDL.
VRDL with a slight blocker advantage because Jessica Chestnuts is serving the 6th penalty trip as we speak. Top penalties for RCR so far.
Second half underway. Christy Demons starts off quickly. Lead jammer going to VRDL.
Unbelievable offense by Danny Darko, tearing apart that front wall of D put up by RCR.
Christy Demons already around the track, back into the pack. We've got a back block penalty now on Christy Demons. Power jam for Rose City. Bonnie Thunder's still working on the initial pass.
Danny Darko now protecting that wall. Rose City Rollers were trying to get a little piece of the offense, and Danny Darko shut it down all on her own.
Rose City choosing to go passive on their offense. Bonnie Thunders pushes out the pack clear on the initial pass for Rose City.
Full string of Rose City blockers, Chestnuts, Nisbet Smith, Rivas, and Hannah Jennings.
Rivas going at Danny Darko at the front of the pack. Christy Demons out of the penalty box, back on the track for VRDL. Forearm penalty, Jess Rivas.
5 points picked up by Bonnie Thunders, but it did take 30 seconds to pick up those points as we now see a return to the track by Christy Demons.
And 4 points already picked up by Christy Demons since returning to the track. Quick scoring pass for her. Pack mired between turns 3 and 4. Christy Demons to the outside, accelerates through. 4-point scoring pass, VRDL. Bonnie Thunders trying to find her way through the front of the pack. Bianca Sharetta anchoring a 2-wall at the front.
Christy Demons caught a little piece of Jessica Chestnuts, and then Danny Darko drove out Chestnuts. Christy Demons still stuck behind that wall of Rose City Rollers as Rivas breaks away to play some offense.
Demons knocked to the inside. Thunders completing a scoring pass for 4 points.
Hannah Jennings provided that slight escort to the inside line, and Jessica Chestnuts, a little bit old-fashioned hammer and nail, put it to bed, finished the job.
So at the end of that jam, VRDL 110, Rose City 67. Bonnie Thunders out to talk to the jam ref.
Top scorers so far, Lauren Much facing off against Lady Trample.
Lauren Much 28 points in 8 jams for Rose City. This will be her 9th. VRDL really making their money on the outside rails. We see Lady Trample going there right away, and if it wasn't for Tarantula shutting that door, it would have been another quick lead jammer for VRDL.
We should make t-shirts that say, if it wasn't for Tarantula.
That's fair.
Or at least a hashtag.
Lady Trample clears, lead jammer goes to VRDL.
Lauren Much recycled all the way back to that initial jammer line.
And knocked to the outside, once again going to be forced to reset. Lady Trample working on another scoring pass. Sarah Gaither working well with Tarantula at the front of the pack. Forearm penalty will send Screw Barrymore to the penalty box.
Now, there might have been a little bit of confusion as far as Rose City is concerned. I did see Lauren Much doing a little bit of gesturing and tugging on the star cap and then realizing there is no pivot on the track.
Sarah Gaither to the penalty box on a forearm penalty. I had not picked that up.
Apparently, at least 5 other people did not either.
Well, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. 115-68 score on the board. 26 minutes, 6 seconds left in the second half. Ivy Knive wearing the star for VRDL. Liquor and Split donning the cap for Rose City. VRDL's jammers are just able to get off that line extremely quickly and gain the immediate advantage by hopping forward in the pack.
I would say they're launching themselves off that jammer line. You'd think there were springs in their toe stops.
Tarantula, nice side-to-side movement. We have seen that on display before as she forces Ivy Knive to the inside.
Hannah Jennings came in like a wrecking ball to try and break that reinforced wall. Just sort of managed at the ends up at the pack, though.
Jessica Rodriguez, a.k.a. Liquor and Split, thought she had a track cut drawn on Ivy Knive. Ivy Knive, though, did not go out of bounds. That happened right in front of us at turn 1. Ivy Knive now still not forced out by Hannah Jennings, and Hannah Jennings is doing everything she can to force Ivy Knive out.
Sarah Gaither doing a great job of catching Ivy Knive just at the last minute. You'd think there was a magnet on her backside.
But look at the lockdown defense in the back of the pack by VRDL. Liquor and Split struggling against that as she has all jam long.
Digging down really deep, dropping that shoulder and bringing a lot of strength in her steps. Still not managing to find the light of day.
Lead jammer finally awarded to Ivy Knive. Nice job up front by Gaither and Tarantula. Liquor and Split now to the penalty box for Rose City.
It took 1 minute and 20 seconds to award lead jammer.
Wow. And that was blocking with the head, the call on Liquor and Split. And Liquor and Split going to be iced in the penalty box. VRDL heads up derby as we have come to know from them. 24 minutes left in the second half, 120-68.
Super smart energy conservation. Yet again, I mean, we're seeing, like I said, some diversity in the jammer rotation, but rather than really just kind of like forcing that, they have almost 30 full seconds in a power jam to start right away. Might as well send out a veteran like Christy Demons to put up some more points for Victorian.
Well, most impressive, VRDL has sent out 5 jammers, all of them in double digits. The least has 16.
Amazing screen put up by Shayna Serrelson, once again opening up the path that VRDL seems to prefer on the outside.
VRDL just seems to be operating on another plane right now. Christy Demons through the pack, 5-point scoring pass.
Once again, Shayna Serrelson just screening that wall of white tucked onto the inside and opening up that outside lane for Christy Demons.
Wheels of Justice blockers seem extremely reactionary on the track right now instead of taking the initiative themselves. Star pass to Tarantula. That pass has been completed. Christy Demons through the pack for 4. Sarah Gaither trying to open a hole for Tarantula on the outside. Christy Demons almost completed that scoring pass were it not for Rivas on the outside.
Great hit by Rivas and great awareness by the RCR blockers lineup, forcing that all the way to the back of the pack.
Track cut on Tarantula sends her to the penalty box. And now Tarantula will be iced in the penalty box after a 5-point scoring pass by VRDL. 2 points being held for Tarantula.
You know, as much as I really do love seeing Tarantula get the star, because I mean, she knows what to do with it. The problem with Tarantula receiving the star is that you no longer have her on the track as a primary blocker, and she's just such a powerhouse. Why do we have to pick and choose? Why can't there just be 2 of her?
I think every other team in the WFTDA would complain if there was a second Tarantula. That is Power Pout jamming for VRDL. Tarantula still in the box, serving the penalty she picked up in the last jam. Power Pout, a.k.a. Sarah Chambers, your lead jammer. Rivas to the penalty box for an out of play.
Gallifrey and Hannah Jennings trying to receive, but that blocker advantage of VRDL just crashed down on them.
Well, and what that also did was provided almost a full wall screen for Power Pout to skate around.
Danny Darko trying to catch a little piece of that wall of white.
Tarantula back out on the track for Rose City. Jess Rivas now standing in the penalty box. Sarah Chambers working against Gallifrey at the front of the pack. Sarah Chambers clear for 4. Gallifrey is the pivot looking for the cap pass. It was passed. Danny Darko was there waiting for her. Back block penalty goes against Sarah Chambers, a.k.a. Power Pout. Power jam now for Gallifrey, who is clear on the initial. Gallifrey back into the pack, working on the first scoring pass for Rose City. Tarantula up to play offense. Whistle coming in the far straightaway.
Danny Darko forcing that jammer out, realizing there were a bunch of white blockers that were not going to let her go back anymore, didn't even bother trying. Smart.
Bone shaker to the penalty box for VRDL. Gallifrey one to beat up front. She spins around and somehow separates herself from Danny Darko. 5-point scoring pass for Rose City. Gallifrey back into the pack and now on the outside of the track, courtesy of Biceptual.
Great 1-2 punch by Hannah Jennings and Alicia Nisbet-Smith. Their years of skating together really show at a moment like now.
4 more points picked up by VRDL at the end of that jam. 13 points for them in that jam, 5 for Rose City. Score now 152-79 inside. 20 minutes left to play. Very healthy lead for VRDL right now. Playing exactly like you expect a number 1 seed to play.
They don't get on a plane to disappoint. It's a long way to come for that.
Ivy Conivy jammer of record right now opposite Bonnie Thunders. Bonnie Thunders with the initiative up front, and she is clear. Lead jammer goes to Rose City. The question is, how long can the Rose City blockers contain Ivy Knivey in the pack? Thunders through and engaging in the pack on a scoring pass now for Rose City. Ivy Knivey was contained in the pack, but Screw Barrymore was not. Cap pass to her for VRDL.
The Rose City blockers seem to get pretty comfortable with the containment. I don't think they really anticipated that pass, and they were kind of overly committed in the defense to not prevent that from happening.
4 points picked up by Bonnie Thunders. Rose City moving their point total to 83. We see Lauren Much lined up to jam for Rose City. 29 points to her credit, leading all Rose City jammers. She'll be jamming against Lady Trample.
Full string lineup out there.
Lady Trample tries at first to go to the inside, has moved to the out now. Tarantula and Gallifrey there waiting for Lauren Much, getting some movement up front. Forearm penalty will send Hannah Jennings to the penalty box, and Lauren Much forced outside at the top of the first apex.
That was amazing precision skating by Bisexual just when Lauren Much thought she had eked her way out.
Forearm penalty assessed to Lady Trample. That was before lead jammer has been established, so that's still up for grabs for Lauren Much.
Tarantula focusing on picking off the final line.
Rivas and Tarantula trying to create a distraction, which will allow Lauren Much to get through the pack. Oh! Wow! Big hit coming courtesy of Danny Darko.
It's deja vu all over again. I feel like we've been saying that for the entire game. Hannah Jennings then trying to go in and kind of do a little bit of maybe, I don't know, punishment for that, but Darko just shrugging it off.
That was a great penalty kill by VRDL. Lady Trample out of the pack, spin move through, clear on the initial pass.
Hannah Jennings screening some massive offense. Lauren Much does emerge as lead jammer and takes the opportunity to call that jam dead.
You know, Layla, if you want to talk about this game in a nutshell for Rose City, that last jam encapsulates it perfectly. They had a chance to pick up lead jammer early. They had a power jam opportunity. Amazing power kill by VRDL. Lauren Much didn't complete the initial pass until Lady Trample had already come out of the penalty box and completed the initial pass. Lauren Much, though, awarded lead jammer status, could call off the jam, but no points for Rose City.
Yeah, definitely you're seeing a lot of, like you had said, the tone earlier was the kind of Rose City Rollers are sort of playing reactionary roller derby. I'm not really seeing a lot of the kind of calm patience, regrouping and staying focused that we've seen a lot. But again, the season is young, the weekend is young.
Multiplayer block whistled at the front of the pack. It doesn't look like anybody is reported yet. Sarah Chambers, a.k.a. Power Pout, jamming for VRDL. It sounds like lead jammer's still in play. Nisbet Smith now to the penalty box for Rose City.
Bonnie Thunders up front will be the first to emerge as lead jammer.
And now Power Pout clears on the initial pass. Another whistle down in turn 3, back block penalty. That's going to go against Lorraine Evans.
Coach Scott doing some hand maneuvers not too far off from wax on, wax off.
And nicely done, a shutout there by VRDL on that scoring pass, forcing Thunders out before she could legally pass an opposing blocker.
Damage control.
VRDL is basically rolling on every single cylinder a team could be rolling on right now.
Running clinics on how to apply tourniquets.
Wow. 152 to 83, 15 minutes left in the game. Christy Demons jamming once again. Frisky Biscuits getting the star for the second time this game for Rose City. Frisky Biscuits comes down and brings Bianca Sharetta with her. Rose City with a 2-blocker advantage right now, working to get Frisky Biscuits through the pack. Gets by Bianca Sharetta, lead jammer Rose City. Low block going to be assessed to Sarah Gaither. Cap off now for VRDL, looking to pass.
Frisky Biscuits with a full track ahead of VRDL.
Christy Demon stashing the star, clears on the initial pass. Frisky Biscuits picks up 5 and calls off the jam. Legion of Justice cheering for her.
Handful of points. Those were the first points picked up by Frisky Biscuits, but yet again, that is only her second time in, so did a great job of not getting too cold on the wheels.
That's right. Bonnie Thunder's out to jam once again for Rose City. Ivy Knivey lined up for VRDL. And again, Ivy Knivey quickly off the line for VRDL. Forearm penalty goes against Bonnie Thunder's. Power jam now for VRDL. And here comes the offense.
That, again, that is that amazing just kind of crash kaboom blue screen neutralizing all of the RCR blockers the moment their head is turned.
Rivas kept in a goat pen in the back by VRDL. Tarantula up front working with Sarah Gaither. Alicia Nesbitt-Smith up front as well. Jess Rivas hanging out of bounds. Ivy Knivey through the pack. Out of play penalty on Bianca Sharetta. Bonnie Thunder's out of the penalty box and back on the track.
Rivas trying to get in the middle of that wall and jam it up, but not really doing much aside from adding to the calamity. Sarah Gaither dropping Ivy Knivey, forcing that call off.
3 more points picked up by VRDL. 8-point jam for them, 160 to 88. 12 and a half minutes to go. Lady Trample lined up to jam for VRDL. Lauren Much with the star for Rose City. Lauren Much moves to the in. Able to make a little bit of headway. Rose City trying to keep Lady Trample out on the outside. Lady Trample now moves to the in, met by Envy Adams. Lady Trample back to the out, though, and that's where she cashes in. Lead jammer goes to VRDL. Lauren Much now clear on the initial pass for Rose City.
Jessica Chestnut did not see that hit through, but made up for it by opening a hole wide opening, allowing Lauren Much to emerge on that pass.
Jam was called off, but Lady Trample cut the track in the back, courtesy of a nice move by Chestnut on the force out. So the jam was called off before the track cut was assessed, but the track cut was picked up before the jam was called off. You confused now? You should be. Moving on.
I'm so confused and I'm so sober. How does that work?
Out on the track, that is Bonnie Thunders in the power start. Sounded like a false start was called at one point. Very healthy out of play. Bonnie Thunders declared lead. Bianca Sharetta to the penalty box for VRDL.
Sarah Gaither trying to open up a hole on that inside, but Rose City Rollers not having a whole lot of luck going it alone in the offense. You really seem to need at least 2 people working together to make much of a dent in those lineups.
No, and Hannah Jennings to the penalty box. Lady Trample through the pack, clear on the initial. Bonnie Thunder's clear for 5. Calls off the jam before any points were scored. Both coaches out to address the referee crew. Scott Free, the first one to return to his bench area.
Frisky Biscuits wearing the star for Rose City Rollers. Going up against top scorer for Victorian, Christy Demons.
One blocker out on the track for VRDL. That's Shayna Sarelson playing the role of J.K. Rolling. Frisky Biscuits through the pack. Lead jammer goes to Rose City. Christy Demons on the outside and a track cut penalty. Power jam Rose City. Frisky Biscuits gets around Shayna Sarelson. 5-point scoring pass.
I mean, it's never preferred to have one blocker on the track, but if you're going to have one, you're going to want Shayna Sarelson.
That's right. Sarelson trying to slow Frisky Biscuits roll, picks up a forearm penalty for her troubles. Frisky Biscuits 5 points and calls off the jam, icing Christy Demons in the box. And Shayna Sarelson as well. Let's not forget that.
You wouldn't want Christy Demons to get lonely there now, would you?
By the way, it should be pointed out, it appears as though Bianca Sciaretta has accrued a total of 7 penalties in this game. Bianca Sciaretta, if that is true, has fouled out. I do not see her in the bench area.
She must have already been escorted out. But she did participate in 21 jams, having one of the greatest time presence exerted today. So you can see why there'd be some damage done.
Lauren Much through the pack, lead jammer going to Rose City. Pack currently in turn 3. Lauren Much into the pack on a scoring pass. Christy Demon still working on the initial. Shayna Sarelson now released from the penalty box for VRDL. And Christy Demons through the pack, clear on the initial. Lauren Much clear on a 4-point scoring pass.
Something both of these jammers have such huge success with, aside from obviously just scoring points, is their foot speed from 0 to 60 in no time at all. I mean, it's almost hypnotic. It's like a snake charmer or something, where they almost lull you into this false sense of calm and slow, and then all of a sudden they're just launched.
Team timeout being called by Rose City. That is their second team timeout. They have 1 team timeout remaining. They still have their official review. VRDL has yet to burn a team timeout, and they still have their official review in the second half. 7 minutes, 44 seconds left to play. Your score, 160 to 107. Late surge here by Rose City has brought it back to a 53-point game. And with 7 minutes plus on the clock, it's still plenty of time.
Crazier things have happened.
We've probably called crazier things.
When they're
Maybe
that
not
traumatic,
together, but
when they're that traumatic, though, I tend to kind of block them out, or I have an out-of-body experience where I just see myself from afar and I watch the game as if I'm watching from at home, where it's safer, cozier. Yeah.
Bonnie Thunder's lined up to jam for Rose City. Ivy Knive lined up to jam for VRDL. Penalty box, status currently empty.
We shan't hold our breaths.
And I don't hold that against the penalty box. Slow start to the jam. Ivy Knive starting on the inside. Bonnie Thunder's choosing to go toward the out.
Neither of them swinging too far or wide, though, just kind of slowly chiseling out a path through the center if they can.
I was going to say it really is kind of splitting hairs because they're both more or less going up the middle, but Ivy Knive around the outside. Nice Jersey whip off a bone shaker. Lead jammer VRDL.
You don't see enough self-assists anymore.
Nope.
Fabric doesn't have the same give it does.
That's true.
Liberty Bells, I'm looking at you.
1 point picked up by Ivy Knive. Jam called off. Bonnie Thunder's held scoreless in that one, and VRDL extends their lead, but more importantly, burns off that 30 seconds between jams. Just while we're talking about like jersey whips and stuff, remember belt whips?
I do remember belt whips.
You do, because you wore one of those
I
belts.
wore
Yes, you
belts.
did.
And you know what? More jammers that I spoke to than not said they loved the belts.
I don't doubt that. Power Pout lined up to jam for VRDL. Frisky Biscuits wearing the star for Rose City. And Sarah Chambers, a.k.a. Power Pout, your lead jammer. And I don't know what she's going back for, though.
I think that there was some concern that maybe Sarah Gaither hadn't gone out, didn't realize that Sarah Gaither did step out, so just kind of burned a solid 6 or 7 seconds off of her own time.
Rivas to the penalty box for Rose City. Star has been passed to Tarantula. Tarantula out front. One to beat up front. Big pile up in the back as Sarah Chambers hits the back of the pack. Screw Barrymore to the penalty box. And Sarah Chambers now being sent to the penalty box. Out of play penalty. She must have been engaging a blocker outside the engagement zone.
It's always tempting.
Tarantula getting some offense, trying to get around Biceptual. Does. No pass, no point. 4 points on that scoring pass.
The crowd is going wild. The crowd loves seeing Tarantula with the star upon her head.
Tarantula into the pack. Barrels right into Yana Nuku.
Rose City Rollers blockers taking their turn marking up, which did a great job of just kind of slowing the speed and momentum that they were using against Tarantula, turning their attention back to Power Pout.
I like that Frisky Biscuits' former jammer is up trying to play offense for Tarantula and now switches it up to defense. Envy Adams now up front. Swings and hits. Out of play. Going to go against Sarah Gaither. Yep. And for Sarah Gaither, that should be penalty number 7. That will be the end of her evening. And Tarantula forced to reset.
Would you say it's not so lucky day?
I'd say it's not her lucky day if that's the case.
I took you out on that limb. I
That's
apologize.
fair.
I didn't leave us a breadcrumb trail or anything.
4 more points for VRDL. 5 more points for Rose City. 169 to 116. And Gaither is still in the penalty box, so the Ringster folks must have been really quick on the trigger. That is only her 6th penalty. 4 minutes, 4 seconds left in the game. Lady Trample opposite Bonnie Thunders. And it's Lady Trample on the outside. Lead jammer goes to VRDL.
Lady Trample definitely seems to be the jammer with the most success with the pendulum swinging.
Yes.
Again, like really just kind of similar to Lauren Much, able to not overly commit her weight one way or the other, just enough to psych out the opponents.
Lady Trample and Bonnie Thunders knocked out in turn 1. Lady Trample on a scoring pass. Thunders on the initial. Lady Trample again on the outside of turn 1. It's how she picked up lead jammer this jam. It's how she just picked up 5 points. It's how she picked up lead jammer many other jams.
I feel like maybe if I can project what she was thinking, she was concerned that Jess Rivas and Alicia Nisbet-Smith were about to close the elevator doors, so the best way is to just avoid them altogether.
And did successfully. Thunders clears the initial. Unable to score. 4 more points for VRDL. 9 points in that jam, 178 to 116 inside 3 minutes.
Full strength hitting the track.
Timeout called by Rose City. That's their final team timeout. Keep in mind they do still have their official review. VRDL sitting on their entire set of team timeouts still and their official review. VRDL victorious last year here at Big O. Big O has treated them extremely well. They were undefeated here in 2016. Looking to go undefeated once again in 2017 and retain that number 1 ranking.
Top scorers again for this game, VRDL. Christy Demons responsible for 48 of those points put up. For Rose City Rollers, top scorer tied between Bonnie Thunders and Lauren Much, both responsible for 33 points each.
Third most leading scorer for Rose City, Frisky Biscuits at 15. Lauren Much with the jammer cap for Rose City. Christy Demons wearing the cap for VRDL. Penalty box empty. Lauren Much moving to the outside, much like VRDL has had success doing. And lead jammer goes to Rose City.
That was created the ability to swing to the outside. Jess Rivas right away threw a lot of weight from the outside to the in, cracked a little hole for Much, allowing her to creep out, but then swung hard in.
Jess Rivas forearm penalty. Alicia Nisbet-Smith direction of play penalty. Christy Demons clear on the initial pass. And Lauren Much not aware of where the opposing jammer was. 3 points for Rose City. 1 point for VRDL. They're going to lobby for more. Theoretically, shouldn't they get it with 2 in the box?
Theoretically, you are correct. If they picked up any points of someone on the track, they should definitely be grabbing the points of whoever's got their keister in the penalty box.
Ivy Conivy wearing the star opposite Bonnie Thunders. Ivy Conivy, nice spin move on the inside. Didn't complete the pass, though. Thunders being pinned on the inside. Jess Rivas out of the penalty box. Was going to try and give chase to Ivy Conivy, but decided it was no use. Sarah Gaither bowling into Danny Darko. Thunder struggling on the initial pass. VRDL recycling their blockers to the front of the pack. Ivy Conivy getting help in the backfield from Danny Darko, and that is successful. Thunder's clear on the initial. Ivy Conivy clear on a 4-point scoring pass.
Coach of VRDL initially pointing at Bonnie Thunders, hoping that Ivy Conivy would grab that extra point, but then realizing, this is Bonnie Thunders. She fast. You can't catch her.
Well, and it looks like Bonnie Thunder's going to be sent out one last time with 40 seconds, less than 40 seconds on the clock. This will be our last jam. VRDL with a healthy lead going into this jam, so both teams basically playing for rankings points in this jam. Bonnie Thunders quick lead jammer. Right behind her, though, Lady Trample. I cannot imagine we're going to call it off and reset. Nope, Coach Scott Free saying roll it through.
That was an awesome pick set by Rivas, just caused a huge calamity of VRDL blockers.
Lady Trample to the inside, forced to the inside by Rivas Tarantula and Sarah Gaither. Bonnie Thunders going alone with a brace 2-wall at the front of the pack. Lady Trample through the pack for 4.
Tarantula knocking Sarelson out just 'cause.
It was a friendly hit, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Bonnie Thunders calls off the jam. 4 points for each jammer on their scoring passes. But fans, that is your game. Score unofficial right now, but victor easy to declare. VRDL will retain their number 1 ranking as they defeat Rose City for the 2nd year in a row at Big O. This time by a score of 187 to 123. All right, fans, that is day 1 in the books here from Big O 2017. A quick recap. For VRDL, leading all scorers, Christy Demons, 49 points in 11 jams with 2 penalties. Lady Trample contributing 44 in 12 jams and 3 penalties. On the Rose City side of the ledger, 37 points picked up by Bonnie Thunders over the course of 16 jams, visited the penalty box 1 time. Lauren Much, 36 points in 13 jams, never sat down in the penalty box. Clean game for that one.
Super extra bonus gold stars for Lauren Much for not getting into any penalty issues, which we saw happening early on for Rose City Rollers. Definitely tightens things up towards the end, but it was towards the end, so... VRDL's defense absolutely amazing, and they ran a clinic. They will probably be doing that all weekend long. I'm also guessing all season long. I am not a betting woman. I am too cheap for that. But at the same time, this is only the beginning of the season. If last year was any indication, they started strong, they finished strong. There's more of that to come.
The only thing left on their resume is bringing home that first place trophy from championships. They want that Hydra.
I can't even imagine how much it would cost to have to ship that thing, because if you've never felt it, it is hefty.
I'm sure somebody could probably just get it a seat. They'll figure out a way to get it back. Fans, thank you so much for joining us. Pleased to be joining us here again tomorrow. We have a full day on tap. We will get that started early, I believe around 9 a.m. Maybe it's 10. I don't have a schedule in front of me. Oh, yes, I do. I'm a liar. It starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow on tracks 1 and 3. Track 1 will be at New York versus Portland. That is a men's bout. Victoria and Chinook kicking it off on track 3, and then a juniors bout between Angel and Lava on track 2 at 10:30. Fans, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Hi there, this is Ophelia Mellons with the Big O Afterglow, and you have just caught the end of very exciting actions of the day, Rose City Wheels of Justice versus Victorian Roller Derby. Joining me, I'm very honored to have Captain of the Wheels of Justice, Alicia Nesbitt-Smith, and former Captain, Hannah Jennings. Thank you very much for being here, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Your big smiles on your faces after a really tough game. Today it was a 64-point differential. But you know, everybody knows last year they beat you by 12, and you still got that trophy at the hangar in Portland. What's your take on preparing for the long season ahead?
Sometimes you have to lose to know exactly where you stand, and this game really shows what we need to work on and what we need to do to win that trophy again. And I think that's a really, really important thing to do, and a great learning experience.
Yeah, you guys are always kind of focused on the marathon, not the sprint.
Absolutely.
Your training ramps up, right? Fantastic training schedule. You guys look very mentally there today. What would you say they brought today that they didn't bring at Champs?
I think they brought a really high level of determination. Their jammers seem to have a lot more endurance and were able to go for longer and for more jams. Their offense was incredible, much more precise and much more intense than it was at Champs.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, they had some standout skaters, but I just love seeing the consistency that the wheels have this year from last year, despite a lot of changes. Same heart and soul as ever.
Absolutely.
Now, you guys have quite a history. How long have you been in each other's lives?
Well, I started skating in 2008, and Alicia taught me how to skate. When you started, when?
I started in 2006, so
There was roller derby in 2000?
There was. And we've been skating together for like 9 years.
Yeah. Awesome. And, well, okay. Who is the better dresser?
That's a horrible question to ask.
We are both equally good dressers. We even have some of the same things here this weekend. We both have the matching watermelon bags. And,
yeah, what's up with that, guys?
And that's sort of like resort wear. We go shopping for each other and that sort of thing, so it's nice. Sometimes people ask us if we're matching outfits, but we just happen to get dressed.
And that's like a Golden Girls on vacation YOLO thing.
The youngest Golden Girls in the world is how I like to think of it.
All right, next question. Why does Hannah have, why has she lost more of her Kiwi accent than you have?
Really? Maybe because she works around more Americans
and
than
she's
I
married
do.
to an American.
I love my country and I want to keep my accent as long as I possibly can. So I might just double down on my accent from now on.
November.
Champs.
Right. Champs.
Never ever.
November has champs in Philly. And
I will never ever lose my accent.
Yep.
Excited? Are you guys excited to spectate any games this weekend, or is that like you can't even? Spectating's not a thing.
It's hard to even process them. I'm really excited that we have that early game on Sunday, so we get to see the rest of that day. Yeah. It's hard to multitask and think of it as a spectating weekend. It's cool to see the people that we're going to be playing later in the year and like scope them out a little bit, but really we just have to like lock it down and get through all our games and do the best we can at those before we can really think about that.
Last question for you. We got to see Denver play Texas. Any thoughts on that? You guys get to play Denver tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, obviously Denver's going to be a pretty interesting game for us with two of our previous teammates playing on it. They looked really intense and really good, so I'm looking forward to the challenge of playing them.
Awesome. Yeah, it'll be great. We've always loved seeing, Shayna be playing you guys, and the family is everywhere, and the community is everywhere. So, Anyway, congratulations on a hard-fought game today. We look forward to your game, especially tomorrow against Denver and all weekend. So, thank you so much for joining me, Alicia and Hannah. Good luck this season.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Shoo. And now I'm going to pass it right on over to Justice Fielded Marshall, and we're going to do a little bit of a daily wrap-up.
Exactly. We got a lot to get through today. Obviously, you just saw the last game. Victorian taking that win 187 to 123. Rose City only led for one jam in that game about halfway through the first half. After that, with most of Victorian, Rose was able to slow their scoring near the end of it. But as we just said, final score, Victorian with a big win, 187 to 123. In another really big key game this weekend, number 4 Texas and number 7 Denver had a champs level battle that absolutely lived up to all the advanced billing. Denver led for most of the first half, and the first half saw 3 lead changes, and it ended 107 to 86 Denver. Texas did take over. They took a 28-0 run in the opening of the second half, and that led them to a win, but they never led by more than 20 points. Final score there, Texas 195, 162 for Denver. Really strong performance from Nikki Tiki Timebomb in that one, with 50 points right behind Olivia Shooten-John with 53. Also, in a game that looked like it might be an upset for a while, number 16 Helsinki and number 38 Windy City had a really tough battle. Windy led for almost the entirety of the first half. That ended with Helsinki, just barely up, 82 to 77. Windy never came back to take the lead, but they were still in the game the last 5 minutes at 158 to 130. Helsinki managed to avoid an upset with a 44-12 run over the last 3 jams of the half. Final score there, number 16, Helsinki 202, Windy City 142. So a strong showing for Windy there.
There was an exciting game this morning. The first game of the day on track 1 was Auckland, New Zealand's team, Pirate City Rollers, who just yesterday jumped 32 spots in the WFTDA rankings from 87 to 55. And they continued their ascent today, dominating over the Sydney Assassins 229 to 137. Sydney suffered from 4 foulouts and an expulsion for an egregious low block. So they were reduced to actually 9 skaters by the end of that game. That's pretty rough. Pirate City Jammer, Ballistic Button, excellent game, leading all scorers with 74 points on just 5 jams, getting lead on all 5. It's quite an impressive stat. Later in the day, on track 2, Angel City picked up a pretty impressive win over arch rival. We heard from Rachel Rodden earlier in the day about what a fantastic game that was to play, and that was a final of 212 for Angel City to 112 for arch rival.
Yeah, that's a really strong showing for Angel, because arch rival, no slouch at all, a champs team for 2 years in a row. So that's a really good showing for Angel City, who will be facing Victorian in tomorrow's marquee bout. Finishing up the WFTDA action, Sweden, number 12, Crime City, absolutely blasted number 48, Sydney, handing Sydney their second loss of the day at 396 to just 28. Also, another good performance from an international team. Argentina's Dos por Cuatro jumped from 43 to 19 in yesterday's rankings release and smashed number 57 Boulder County in a 278 to 88 rout. Before we end the WFTDA Division 1 action there, I wanted to run back and mention one thing. In the Windy City Helsinki game, there was a jammer injury to Zoe Trocious. She left the game about 10 minutes left in the game. She does have a broken collarbone, will not return to action for this weekend. So Zoe Trocious done for Windy.
It takes something like 10 pounds of pressure on that thing. There's a sweet spot. That's a bummer. B team action, queen on queen action. The B team from Victorian, the Queen Bees, took off Angel City's B team, the Rocket Queens. And that finished out 260 to 152 with Victorian solidly winning. It was really close in the first half, anybody's game, what we announcers always like to say. But there was a pivotal jam, the second to last jam of the first period. Jammer Anna Condor scored 30 points, and Victorian just never looked back from there. That was when they closed the book. Around the same time, B team from Rose City, the Axles of Annihilation, took on arch rivals B team, and that was a rough one. That was a 91 for the St. Lunatics, arch rivals B team, and 349 for the Axles of Annihilation. It's a combination of arch rivals in experience with Axles firing on all cylinders. Everyone played a great game. All around, it was a very low penalty game. Impressive skating all around, but Rose City's Axles of Annihilation had that unlocked from Jam 1.
Yep. Moving on to the MRD action. In the only close men's game of the day, number 16 Glenmore Reservoir Dogs from Chinook, they led number 29 Lane County Concussion at halftime, but the second half was nuts, really crazy. 8 lead changes over the last 17 minutes of the game, with the score 161 to 159 Chinook. Lane County was able to pull it back in the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Grime and Punishment had 2 major jams, the 24-0 that started those lead changes, and near the end a 10-0 run that put Lane up 169 to 161, an 8-point lead. After back-to-back timeouts, Lane County hung on through the last jam to win that one, an upset win, only the second upset of the day, 173 to 165, and of course Lane County being the closest men's team to here, a very crowd-pleasing conclusion there. In the other MRD action, the New York Shock Exchange, ranked number 8, took just 15 minutes to open up a 100-point lead over Glenmore Reservoir Dogs, who of course fell in that second game as well to Lane County. New York winning that game with a huge final of 439 to 36, the biggest blowout of the day. Also in this action, Portland went over Vancouver. That's number 3 Portland over number 6 Vancouver, 273 to 108. And finally, Puget Sound smoked the unranked Victorian Vanguard men's team, 366 to 59.
Yeah, that's right. And finally, in Junior Roller Derby Association action, at noon today, the Gaplin team from Saskatchewan took it to Lava City, Bend, Oregon's, the Cinder Kittens, in another lopsided game that was 427 to 97. In a junior game, that's hot.
Yeah, that's a big one.
All right. And then also Angel City's juniors punished Gaplin later in the day, 342 to 128. So a great experience and character builder, I think, for that junior team, Gaplin, out of Saskatchewan today.
Yep, and we do have one last score coming in from the WFTDA side as we got this while we were doing our recap. Number 8 Minnesota with a big win over number 14 Rat City, 217 to 134. So Minnesota looking good in that win right there. We do have we're missing a few scores for today, but we'll be sure to add those in tomorrow's opening show. It's been a long, exhausting day of roller derby. Exactly. We're going to do it 2 more times this weekend. Come back and join us at 9:45 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow for PBO Saturday's action. Tomorrow has got Texas taking on Minnesota, Rat City facing down Sweden's Crime City is looking very, very good. And in the marquee game, which we mentioned earlier,
Rose Denver.
Yeah. Well, that's. We
have
so many good games that Rose Denver's not even the marquee game.
What's the marquee game?
The final one, Victorian, number 1 in the world, trying to put down another contender, an extremely tough number 5, Angel City, as the last game on track 1. So we are going to shut it down for tonight, and we'll be right back here bright and early tomorrow morning for yet more people skating in circles and passing each other and occasionally falling down. My name is Justice Feelgood Marshall.
I'm Ophelia Mellons.
It's been a pleasure. See you tomorrow.
Good night.